following is a production of Watlington Shires and Pierce Productions.
Welcome to another installment of the Rick Meeks Show. We're live from the pizzeria. As always, the Rick Meeks Show is brought to you by Sabine State Bank. On tonight's show, we'll recap last Friday's game. We'll talk to Coach Meeks about what all's going on in all the other sports besides football. We'll talk to some guest coaches and some students who had big things happening last Friday. We'll discuss the pizza of the night. And we may even talk about the Texas Longhorns and the Alabama Crimson Tide. You never know. And we'll end the show with a preview of our next opponent. That's all coming up here live on the Rick Meeks Show, brought to you by Sabine State Bank.
So what do you get with Sabine State Bank? Well, Steve Waters and his staff, they know you. They know you by name. And they celebrate the successes when they finance your dreams. But Sabine State Bank is also a fully modern bank with 24-hour online access to your accounts and services ranging from teller services to some of banking's more complicated things. Looking for a place to grow? It's Sabine State Bank.
Right now.
That's what's cool. That means we're on the air. So we get to do that thing, at the end of the game show.
Hey there, Rough Rider fans. Welcome back to the pizzeria and to the Coach Rick Meeks Show. Tonight, our first one from the pizzeria, we'll look back on a convincing victory in Week 1 against the Jacksonville Indians. We look at the other Rough Rider sports and other games in the area, find something to smile about, brought to you by Wyndham Family Dental. And then we look ahead to next week against Spring Hill Panthers. Who is our special guest tonight, you say? Nobody. We don't need one, because the coach is in the house. Is in the house. Is in the house.
So many things get started at Pizzeria. You start your party off with a pizza from the pizzeria. You get your celebration started. You get your season started. For a lot of us, our passion with pizza started at the pizzeria, a tradition since 1960s. It's the pizzeria just off the square in Center. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rick Meeks Show, brought to you by Sabine State Bank, live from the pizzeria. I'm Chris Watlington. Hello. Say hi, Coach.
How's it going?
That's Coach Rick Meeks, and we are here also with the counselor, Stephen Shires. Say hello, counselor.
Hey, where's our special guest?
What
did Papa Love say?
Oh, we don't need a special guest.
That's
We
right.
got the coaches in the house.
That's right.
And you will be, at least for the first bit of the show, hearing the counselor, but he is working behind the scenes as well. He's the voice from above. Coach, congratulations on a good opening week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
We'll visit about that in some detail. We'll look back before we look forward. Just first of all, just a quick word about Jacksonville. A friend of mine texted me and then called, remembering a story from a Jacksonville game in the 70s where my cousin, who was a pretty good athlete, he played both ways and was our punter. And he said, your cousin punted a huge punt, a towering punt, and they took it and returned it all the way, and he had to tackle on about the 10-yard line. Mm-hmm. But they called it back. There was something wrong at the line of scrimmage, so he did it again, and this time they made it all the way to the end zone. A better punt. People that are of a certain age remember those days with Jacksonville and Hallsville and Pine Tree in our district, and oftentimes, laying a whooping. That wasn't the same Jacksonville team. They're trying to rebuild.
Correct. Yeah, and the last couple of years they have been down. Coach Holman, they're in rebuilding mode. They had some I thought they had some good players in some key skill positions. But when you struggle in the offensive and defensive line, it makes it tough. And they're transitioning into a whole new offensive scheme. It's not what they've done the last couple of years that Coach Holman's been there. He hired a new offensive coordinator in the spring, and so they're transitioning to a whole nother scheme. And so that makes things a little tough too when they're very run oriented. And do not complete a pass down the field, so that makes things tough. So part of that, I feel like it was our kids prepared and ready to play.
Yeah.
And some of it was they were playing with some young guys as well, just like we were. I mean, they started a sophomore at quarterback and running back, as well as a few other skill positions on defense. So
Was it 25 or 2? Which one's a sophomore?
at running back?
Yeah.
25.
Oh, well, that's bad news for folks because I thought he looked like a pretty good.
Yeah, no, he's he was the better of the two. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have their bumps and bruises along the way, but I was proud of our kids for coming out and starting the game the way we did.
Absolutely.
Making a statement right off the bat, and that way there was no question that we were the better team.
Let's brag on your defense.
Yeah.
That for the most part, played 4 quarters, and you indicated in post game that you were proud of that effort.
Mm-hmm.
How many first downs did they have in the first half? It couldn't have been any more than 3 or 4.
Yeah,
the entire
I want to say it was 3, and then a 4th one on a penalty.
That's pretty good, Coach.
So
that's pretty good.
Defensively, we played well all game. We definitely had a few drives in there where we bend, don't break, and we turned them over. I have zero issues with the way we played the game defensively from start to finish. Still frustrated with the way we played offensively and special teams after a quarter and a half. Got very lackadaisical, got complacent, and that's not good from where it's not good no matter if we were a veteran team or or not. We're not a veteran team offensively. And so complacency cannot set in. We've got so many things that we've got to get corrected and get fixed that doesn't matter that we jumped out the way we did. We needed to continue to play and continue to build our craft and continue to work, and we didn't do that in those 2 phases. And, it showed as the game went on. But defensively, we played great. We did a really good job causing turnovers and executing the different phases and the different parts that the ball was, whether it was red zone or backed up. Because offensively and special teams, we put our defense in some bad spots, and they just attacked the field and played the next play. And once again, it's a mentality that we're in right now that we haven't been used to defensively. It's the amount of time and the amount of work Coach Hostetler has put in with our defense.
You can tell. We had a viewer comment to me that the defense looks much faster this year. I think part of that is, them actually getting faster, but it also from the mental standpoint.
From the mental side, absolutely. Some of that is to be debated just through our metrics and strength and conditioning. I wouldn't necessarily say we're physically faster, but I do think we're mentally faster. And so then it shows our kids can then play at their speed, whereas last year we were relatively the same speed on paper, but we were playing slower because we're just trying to figure things out. But we have simplified just a little bit to allow our guys to go play.
Okay.
But the other piece of it is they also understand where they need to go. And so they've played really well through 2 scrimmages in the first game. And, they'll definitely have a challenge ahead of them this week.
You say everybody says it's a game of inches and a game of seconds. If you have several people on your defense that in last year read what was going on, computed it, and in about a second and a half, 2 seconds, we're ready to start. And this year, they can think that through a second quicker. That second is enormous.
Correct. And a lot of it has to do with pre-snap alignments. There's a lot of things that we have an idea based off of formation and field position and where the ball's at, left hash, right hash, their boundary, not their boundary. and we weren't able to process that, and now we're able to process it, which allows us to play faster.
Yeah, you would appear to be faster if you were lined up 3 yards closer to where you're supposed to be when you start.
Right. Correct.
All right, so we have a new thing that we're going to do, and when we review the games, that's where I talked to Coach, and we prepared 3 clips. Now we have 3 different views of each clip.
So actually, that's 9
clips. That's right. We're going to look at you picked an offensive play, a defensive play, or an offensive play, a special teams play, and a defensive play, and we're going to look at each one of those, Coach, and we're just going to let you comment, and we can run through them as many times as you want. But we're going to start with the first play is the offensive play, which is the big, the long pass for maybe our first touchdown.
All right. Yes, sir.
And so we're going to look at it from what we call the tight angle.
So this first drive right here, it was 3rd and 9. We run one of our play action passes, and you want to stay on that angle.
Yeah, we can go. We'll cut out to the wide version.
It'll be similar, just without quite the detail. Yeah.
I got you. Okay, so we're working a concept here to our slot receiver on the inside, and his route is based off of the technique of the safety. And so as he pushed vertical, the safety stayed in the middle of the field, which allowed him to stay vertical. If the safety would have worked over the top of him, then he would have sat it down.
Right.
Would he have just turned around, curl, or would he have?
Yeah, he'd have sat it down right there at 10. We refer to it as a 10-yard track meet.
Let's look at that one more time from the tight angle, Coach. You can point out what you're talking about.
Yeah, so the safety's right there on the hash. So as the ball snapped, the safety's rolling to the middle of the field. So that allows our receiver to stay vertical. If the safety would have moved over the top of our receiver as opposed to the middle of the field, then he would have sat it down, and we'd have thrown the curl route.
Okay, very good. And let's look. We also have the end zone shot, which
you can
see the offensive line. You can see the protection that they did. Which
yes, sir.
Pretty good pocket.
Yes, yeah. So just a quick game slide protection for us there. We did a really good job. Like to see the excitement there as they're running down the field.
Yeah.
Really good job of celebrating their teammates.
Very good. So the second set of clips is going to be, I think, the kickoff.
Before you go, the passing game, I know that a lot of it depends on who you're playing and what their strengths are on defense, but looked pretty good with how, real quick, grade your guys that were important there, your quarterback and your receivers and all that, as far as how they looked in week 1.
I thought we were in a good spot there. I'm definitely more frustrated with the way we ran the football. I think we've got a lot of that fixed the last 2 days in practice. But throwing the ball Friday, we did a really good job. And, a lot of the stuff that we do in the passing game is a lot of post-snap adjustments. And so it takes a lot for the quarterback and receivers to be on the same page, a lot of reps. And for us, the very first game with the new quarterback, new receiving core, to go 12 and 19 for 270 yards.
Wow.
That's we're very pleased with where we were at there.
Well, I'll tell you what was impressive to me. That was a nice throw that Bellin made. He put it right where it needed to be. But I was expecting Bellin to be good. But, he's got a really strong arm. I remember a couple of slant routes that he threw. Those things were on a dime, on a rope, right there. I was very impressed by that. I was not expecting that right off the gate.
Yes, sir. No, very, very strong arm kid and very, very smart. Yeah. So just as he gets a few more game reps and feels comfortable and gets those Friday night reps, we're going to be just fine in the quarterback spot. He understands the game. He understands what we're after.
Yeah. I saw several times he was directing guys, and
correct.
I remember one time he was pushing him on out, so he could get on out.
Right, and that's what we got to have in that position.
Don't expect that by the third quarter of your first game.
Correct, and not from one. And even if he was a returner, sometime there were a few times early in the year last year, Cash maybe missed something because it's you're just in the newness of the season and you're just trying to get back in the flow of things. And I thought TJ did a really good job commanding the line of scrimmage Friday night.
And so now we move to defense, right?
Well, no, I think the special team is next.
Let's move to special team.
All right. So
this was an odd play.
I'm actually going to start with the wide version of it first.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I was.
I wasn't really even sure when we saw it, what happened?
So I think this was the third. Yeah, so this was the third kickoff. So our first two we went deep. All right. And so the third one here, we noticed personnel-wise they had moved some guys around, so we pooched it. We were pooching it to the up back on our right, and he signaled fair catch, but then missed it or let it hit. And the thing there that I wanted to point out was our number one right there, Brandon Barnes, better known as Mista.
Mister.
I give him a hard time. I tell them I don't call them by their nicknames. But anyway, the effort that Brandon gives running down the field. So as we run there, we try to create a three-man vice with 1, 2, and 3 on that up back. That way, if he does catch it and try to return it, we have a three-man vice squeezing to that return man. We got outside shoulder, inside shoulder numbers, and so we create this vice. If he does try to, so he should not get vertical. Mm-hmm. That way, if he does anything, he's got to bounce it out. Well, if he bounces it out, we've got 7 guys closing to that. So the pressure would be coming to where he tries to bounce it to. So Miss is doing a great job of running down the sideline on that outside shoulder, starting that vice. Weren't necessarily as great at the 2 and the 3, but I mean they're in the picture right there. Mm-hmm. But then the effort after the basically the live ball at that point was his kickoff. So if we could have got down there and recovered it.
Did they recover
in the end zone? It ended up going out of the back, so it ended up being a touchback.
We never could really see the ball.
Yeah.
I bet everybody was chasing it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you what I like, Coach. We're going to go to the end zone view. Watch what I like is the guy still maintain
to the camera's right.
Yeah, you see the guy on the outside. He's still containing, right?
That's correct.
So he's still showing discipline.
That's correct. See, and that's 2 and 3 that get there to the ball. And then it goes out the back of the end zone. But, yeah, if we'd recovered it there, it would have been a touchdown.
And I think it would have been the first such touchdown I would have ever seen. No one touches the ball. No one moves. You just fall on it and score.
That's right.
My kind of ball.
Right. All right, so let's move on to the third clip, which is going to be a defensive stop. And we'll have a look at it. Coach, let you go ahead and comment as you see fit.
Yeah, so they go this is kind of a stretch zone read with the quarterback and the running back. Running back's running stretch to the right. Quarterback's reading the backside in. And based off of the way our end played there, he gave it. Front side, I think it's a really good job of our guys showing gap integrity.
Yeah, we'll see that. Actually,
they're playing it inside out, and it's a great job by Caleb Mosley getting off his block and turning it back inside to our linebackers.
Right.
So, but with him running up, getting up the field and setting the edge, it turns it back inside to Cody and Easton, and here they come right there into the C gap to make the tackle. So, really good clip there of everybody doing their job, and not just necessarily one person making a play.
Here's you can see it. You can see it really good here, I think.
Right. So you can see there's Caleb coming up, turning it inside, and there's Cody and Easton falling back underneath, making the play.
I think Mosley had a really good game.
Yes.
I didn't talk about that in the post-game show, but he had several nice plays where he may not have made the tackle, but he liked that. I mean, that's exactly what he's supposed to do.
That's right. Yes, sir. And that's the thing defensively and I know we've talked about it a little bit, but defensively, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the number was, but let's just say they snapped it 50 times Friday night. You got to play defense 50 snaps. You don't have the luxury to take a play off, or you don't have the luxury for one person not to be where they're supposed to be. All 11 guys have to do their job, and that's the biggest difference defensively and offensively. Offensively, we snapped it a lot of times Friday night, and 70% of them we did not play well, but the other 30% we did, and we scored, and we win the game. And that's where I get so excited now defensively. Our mindset with our kids is, they don't want to give up a first down.
That's great.
And it used to be, hey, let's just make sure we keep them out of the end zone. Like, it's just, it's important to our kids now that their mindset's different. They just have that attack mentality. But it's hard to play defense. I mean, you're playing a different offense every week. You know, we prepared for Jacksonville, made sure we were ready, and now Spring Hill does nothing compared to what Jacksonville does. And so it's a whole
similar
nother
colors.
That's it.
That's
That's the only thing. So it's you know, and then next week with North Dakota, it's going to be something completely different. I mean, they're going to be fast-paced, throw it down the field, play action, reverses, and do it so fast that you haven't had a time to and so it's hard to play defense, and our kids are in the right mentality to go play the way it needs to be played.
It's great. Well, Coach, great game, and thanks for walking us back through it. Today, there's no special guest, so we got pepperoni pizza.
That's it.
In honor of Coach Meeks.
Right, it's so good.
It is.
See, I'm flipping y'all.
Yeah.
I've had it enough now with me. You're starting to like it.
Absolutely.
I've always liked it, but you're right. You forget, and so we thank Pizzeria for they weren't absolutely sure that we were coming today because it was Tuesday, not Monday. This happens on Monday nights, but yesterday was Labor Day. We appreciate their flexibility and willingness. This whole section that you just saw was brought to you by JBA Financial. They bring you the coach talk all season, all the way to talking to the baseball managers and the tennis coach in the spring. So we will hear from them and some other sponsors right now, but we'll be right back here with the Coach Rick Meeks Show, brought to you by Sabine Steak. We're here at the Pizzeria. JBA Financial Services brings you Coach Talk, and there's a reason for that. John Black knows that when you're preparing for an important game, you need a plan, and they'd like to be a part of the details, the X's and O's of that plan. He's put together a good team, a coaching staff that would help you and your family get where they want to go. At JBA Financial Services, they're working to secure your family's future. Sandy Cox is a good State Farm agent. Just ask Drake. He knows. State Farm agents in general are pretty cool, but Sandy Cox has the answers to your questions. Like, what's best for me, for my kids, for my business, for my farm? For all of us in Shelby County, those questions can be answered at Sandy Cox State Farm. This is McAdams Propane. And this is CEO Josh McAdams. That's him on the cover of Texas Propane Magazine as the president of the state organization. He knows a thing or two about propane. He learned from his dad and his grandfather before him. Whether your business depends on propane or just your outdoor kitchen, McAdams puts the needs and the safety of their customers in first. It's McAdams Propane. So we heard from Sandy Cox, we heard from McAdams Propane, and Center Tire Company, a new sponsor. Trey Burns has owned that business for less than 2 months, and for the prior 60 years, it was a Tinkle family property.
Yeah.
A whole new era beginning, and you told a great story during the game about Trey in his relatively short tenure.
Yeah, so this must have been right after he acquired the business. I was driving into town from the lake. I was supposed to be in Rusk, Texas for a trial, and I have a blowout in my Lincoln. I'm driving my Lincoln. And so I just pull it off and over to this side where this road for pasture is, and I call up Jason Birch and say, man, I need you to come get my car. So then I call up Center Tire. I didn't realize, but I get Trey on the phone, and I said, man, I'm in a jam. I need a new tire, but I can't. I gotta give opening statements in an hour. He goes, man, don't worry about it. Just get it here, and I'll take care of it. And sure enough, he did. Jason got it there, came back to town, picked it up, paid him the next day, and it was just great. I mean, that's just you can't get that at discount big city tire
in Houston, Texas, New York City.
I'll say this too. He's, what'd y'all say, about 2 months ago he took over. Mm-hmm. He's reached out to the athletic office. He wants to help any way he can, and he actually he did our team meal Friday, and I think he's got a few more before the year's up.
You need to get him them big old truck tires and off season having the guys
That's
pull
right.
them things.
Yeah.
So he's
Guys
stepped in
appreciate that.
and has already done a lot
Yeah,
for
they'll
us
appreciate- they'll love that.
in the athletic program. So
Not
much
surprising.
appreciation there, and glad that he wants to come be a part.
So we
Yeah.
appreciate them, and of course, Steve Waters at Sabine State Bank, and all of them at that bank. They are the sponsors of this program. Wouldn't happen if it weren't for the folks at Sabine State Bank. So we appreciate that. Also appreciate our Ace Hardware, Brookshire Brothers, and Covington Lumber. That's ABC. Those are our sponsors of Rough Riders all season long. They start at Meet the Riders, and they close up at the end when we do, I guess, the spring concert or whatever we close with. And I appreciate their presence all season long. Well, Coach, football is the big story, but it tickled me when we were at Meet the Riders. You said the volleyball team, there's a couple of them here, but they were at a tournament. Then the tennis team, well, none of them could be here, but they're 4-1. And 1-0 in district. I mean, their district season had started before school started.
Right.
What kind of insanity is that? So there's a lot going on. What are you proud of and excited about?
Well, I mean, really, we've got off to a really good start from a cross country and a tennis standpoint. Volleyball has got off to a good start. Had a big win against Shelbyville, and then we went and played in two pretty good-sized tournaments. We went and played in one in Tyler. Actually, both of them were in Tyler. A lot of 4A, 5A, even a couple 6As. It was pretty good competition, and so experience, maybe not the win column, but it will pay off later on down the year, and that's the thing volleyball-wise. I mean, we're playing with three freshmen and five sophomores, so there's only 2 or 3 seniors and juniors. So still very young, in a young season. I mean, we start district in a couple weeks, but they're improving and doing a really good job. Tennis has picked up right where they left off. I mean, Coach Dykes obviously has an unbelievable program established. Expectations are there, and the kids know what they need to go do, and success has happened, and kids want to go be a part of it, and they continue to do what's asked of them, so they can continue the tradition of our tennis program, and so we're playing well. I think we're somewhere around the 8-2 mark overall, but I know that we are undefeated in district right now, and so we're on track for another district championship.
Hudson's in our district?
No, sir.
Okay, because I knew that we lost a pretty close one to Hudson, and I thought we were undefeated in district. Guess they were last year.
They're not this year. They're in our district in like volleyball,
right,
and baseball, softball, and then cross country. They're running well. They ran in the Tyler Legacy Invitational, a 5A meet. We got second in it on the boys' side.
Great.
And, so those kids are competing really well, and Coach G's doing a great job with those guys. Start practice every morning at about 5:45, 6 o'clock. So if you drive by and see the stadium lights on, it's Coach G. It's not us practicing. It's cross-country practicing.
That's just unbelievable. And there have been years, I don't know where you guys run anymore, where their track is, but in the wild, wild O's and the wild, wild 90s, I'd be driving up for a UIL meet. Oh, woe is me. We have to leave at 6. And I'd be on Highway 96, and I'd see 3 or 4.
I'd see them running down the road.
Yep.
Running. That's crazy.
That's right.
But anyway, there's something.
That's it. So they're doing a great job, and not only are we succeeding, our numbers are high. So our involvement in the athletic department and the athletic programs is high, which is what we want. We want kids competing and participating, and we're doing that.
Our sponsor of the night is Campbell's Portable Buildings. It's such a tradition, and tell them James sent you. It goes all the way back to James Campbell, and there's General Shelters, the history of that big organization, and Campbell's Portable Buildings, they're kinfolks. They come from the same DNA, and so it's where you go, not just the center, but across East Texas for your portable buildings. They bring us in the pregame show, our area roundup, where I put together the different teams in the district and the county, and kind of this is what their matchups are. So I want to talk just a second about other games that I don't know that they affect us, but you just can't not talk about it. The number one team in the state, Carthage, and the defending champion, Gilmer, both lost their openers, which I looked it up. It hasn't happened since 14 BC. And and then who beat them? Well, the two teams that you scrimmaged.
Right.
I mean, it's the one thing we have in common with it. Now, I know that those are scrimmages, and I know.
Right.
But looking at those two teams in scrimmages, you can imagine what it would be like to lace up and play them for real. Did you feel like that either of those teams were teams that we shouldn't be playing in the regular season?
No, I mean, I think those two scrimmages and the success we had in the scrimmages for whatever that is, right? I mean,
right.
it's a scrimmage. Pine Tree runs their quarterback a lot. They didn't do it in the scrimmage,
right?
So that's a big part of their offense. And Kilgore, we both subbed a good bit, but there's two still really good programs that our kids had success against, and it's like we told them after the Kilgore scrimmage that Friday, we scrimmaged on Thursday, so Friday in the athletic period, like, you guys need to start having some confidence about you and understand that, like, we're fine. Like, just keep practicing, keep being us, keep sticking to our pillars and what we believe in and our standard, and good things are going to happen. If people don't want to put us in a conversation, that's their own fault.
Right.
Like, just because we graduated some really good players, we have some really good players coming. Tim Johnson's been on our radar.
Yeah.
We know how good of a player he is.
Yeah.
Y'all know how good of a player he is from basketball and what he did in football last year. It just got overshadowed by maybe a couple of others.
Yeah.
But we know what we have in Tim.
Right.
We know what we have in TJ. We know what we have in Jamarian Smith and Cody and Easton and Caleb. We know what we have in those guys.
But Coach,
and so they, they need to know what we have as a team, like within our locker room. And, hey, guys, we can be in any conversation that y'all want to be in.
But the thing about it, what I said in the pregame was, I think at some point when you build your program, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Right. Okay, and I think I'm hoping this year we get to see that with this team. Right, it's because it's one thing when you have Cash or Evans or all these guys, but when we go out there and do it, and I think a successful football team, you may have that guy, you may have that all-state guy, but successful teams year in, year out, all 36 of, or no, 33 of the guys on,
right,
offense, defense, special team, there is no weakness.
Right.
They may not all be 5-star athletes.
Right.
But there is no weakness.
Right.
And I really feel like that's kind of where we're headed, and that's what I want to see with this team, right?
Absolutely. The future's the future. I mean, what ends up happening through 10 games, I mean, we can,
Right.
But I'll tell you this, and this probably blows a lot of people's mind, unless they truly understand the state of the program 4 years ago, like, kids understanding the importance of practice was minimal. Like the things that it takes to be successful, like, was not required, and it's taken us to this point to get them to understand that, and so we're not chasing kids for practice.
Right.
And once again, it's hard for some people to believe, like, you miss practice, like, you don't ever miss practice. Well, we were in a stage a few years back in a program that we inherited and took over and started establishing. Well, those kids missed practice, and they thought it was okay. And so it's taken a while to change that mindset, and now it has changed. And so we're a team, and when you have that, good things happen.
Right.
You replace good talent, because now you have kids who play the game for the right reasons. You have kids who understand that their role is important no matter what their role is. Once again, perfect example, Kilgore scrimmage. If that was a game, all right, let's say that was a game, and we lose 14-13. Well, we lost 14-13 because we had a hiccup on field goal.
Right.
So who's to say if that's my only job, it is just as important as anything else.
Yes.
Because I would have went out there, halfway did my job, it got blocked, and they scored a touchdown. Right? That's why in the scrimmage we were down 14-13. If it wasn't for that, we'd have been up.
Right.
And so that's a great teaching moment for our kids. Like, there's 66 positions. You have 66 starters every Friday night.
Right.
All the special teams, offense, defense. And if my only job is to be the personal protector on punt, it is the most important job. And our kids are starting to view it that way.
Yeah, yes.
Like, it doesn't matter. That's my job, and I'm going to do it the best that I can every single time. And if we don't punt on a Friday night, great. I'll be ready to go the next week. And we haven't had that. And so I think that's the dynamic in this team right now up to this point that is creating success for us, because they understand the value of doing my job, no matter what it is.
I want to wrap this section up telling you a story. At Meet the Riders, you send the seniors over for quick interviews. One of those guys, I said, how long have you been playing? He said, well, I haven't played since 8th grade, but I wanted to come back for my senior year. And I said, well, why is that? Why are you coming back? He said, well, this should make you feel good. I've been watching the program and the way it runs and the standards that they have, and I just think it's a pretty good program, and I kind of wanted to be a part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Understated, but true.
Right.
And so, pretty high praise. We're going to hear from Campbell's Portable Buildings, who brought us our area roundup and will every game, and also some other sponsors, including Batters Law Firm, another of those that are with us for the whole season, and Sabine State Bank. We'll be right back. It's one of the great slogans, right? Just tell them James sent you. But when James Campbell sent you away from Campbell Portable Buildings, he wanted it to be something that met your needs, whether it was storage or some inside beautiful living area. They can take care of you at Campbell Portable Buildings, where your building matters. They say, go Riders. At Sabine State Bank, you have a
Batters Law Firm is proud to be a third-generation law firm serving the injured people of East Texas since 1964. Batters has settled thousands of cases and paid out over $25 million to clients from settlements in the past 2 years. Visit one of their locations for your free, no-appointment consultation and let the Batters team implement their proven approach that incorporates treatment and recovery while maximizing settlements and payouts. Batters Law Firm, serving you in Nacogdoches, Lufkin Center, and Houston. Remember, when it matters, call Batters. 833-BATTERS. 833-BADDERS.
Everybody, welcome back to the Rick Meeks Show, brought to you by Sabine State Bank. We're live here at the pizzeria.
Three businesses that we talk about just in a mention every broadcast. If I give you the first, you can tell me the other two, right? The first one is Mooney's Emporium. What are the other two?
The Forge and JBI Insurance.
We mention them every time there's a broadcast, but this year there's a fourth one, Rough Rider Oil and Lube.
Yes.
He said, I want to be all season. How can I do that? And I told him, he said, I'm on. So do you see your scoreboard at Rough Rider Oil and Lube, the score of the game?
Yep.
That is, I'm so glad Nathan does that.
Yes.
And by the way, great place to go for oil check and for the next 3.5 months to get an inspection. But that
So I did that 2 days ago.
okay, good for the
That's
last
the last time.
We hope until the law changes. But up on the square, the Big Red hardware store, which isn't a hardware store. It wasn't the first time you were here either. before the internet, Vance Payne, who owned that store, would go up on Friday nights, listen to the game on the radio if it was an away game. And when the game was over, he would get up and change the board for the score. And especially if it was a win, when the team came back, no matter, unless they were coming from Tenaha, any other road, they'd take a detour if it was a win and go around the square so the boys could see the score.
See it.
Same thing with the band if it was the first division or whatever. Someone would call him, and he'd wait by the phone because there wasn't a cell phone.
Yep.
So it was just one of those little small town things, and so Nathan's kind of bringing that back, and I appreciate that. Okay, this is a brand new section that we call What's on Your Mind? And it can be anything, Coach, and it can be anything that's on his mind, which means you better have something or we're going to talk about the University of Texas football.
Well, no, I got one better. At the University of Alabama. I mean, everybody was worried. Nick Saban retired.
Yep.
But they didn't miss a beat.
Oh, no, they didn't.
Shires, they did not miss a beat.
I know. It looked like a basketball score, right? Would they score 80? Something like that, right? It was
That
a lot.
was, what, 69 to nothing? 63 to nothing?
Yeah.
Did they play that technical school from Alaska?
No, they played Western Kentucky. They didn't play a slap. I mean, they didn't play a slap like Texas. I mean, Colorado State. Come on.
At halftime,
Hey, but they did look good as well too. Yeah. It's going to be a good game with them in Michigan this week. Which I'm an SEC junkie, so
yep.
I'm very excited about that conference this year, and just I love SEC football.
Yeah, I do
awesome.
too. It's fun to watch.
But you know what's odd is that they're not on CBS anymore. So I flipped on the 2:30 game, which is
where are they?
And that would have been a Big Ten game this year, right? Didn't the Big Ten pick up?
Yes.
Let me guess. They're available for streaming.
It's on ESPN.
Oh, okay.
ESPN, which includes ABC.
Which, by the way, DirecTV dropped.
I was going to say all the DirecTV people were upset about that.
Yeah. I was like, I can't
switch.
believe it. But see, I love the 2:30 CBS game, and it just breaks my heart that they're not on there. It's the Big Ten on there. It's a boring Big Ten. I said Vern Lundquist rolled over in his grave, and he isn't freaking dead yet.
You're not dead. He's not dead, but wherever his grave is, he probably put a spring in it. This is what's on my mind. It's kind of what we just talked about. We touched on it. When I was growing up, back in the day, we had 3 channels, and I knew what was going to be on those channels. I took the TV guide. I knew. They were dependable. Now, if it rained, Channel 6 might not come on. That was NBC. Right. But still, I knew. And then we got cable, which was the greatest day of my life. We suddenly went to 12 channels, and they were on all the time, 24 hours. I liked those days. And then we got more cable. We had 64 channels, which was a little much for me. And then we got 485 channels, and then they invented the satellite, which you could talk to aliens with it in your yard. Not everybody had that, and you got some really strange things from the Western Kentuckys in Japan and China. But you know,
I tell people before DirecTV, there was Willie TV. My brother Willie provided people in East Texas with pirated bootleg
quality
satellite television.
But now it's streaming.
Yes.
And in order to watch a cool show that looks neat, I see the previews. Well, I have to buy Peacock. Well, that's NBC, but it's enhanced NBC, so I have to buy that. I can still get NBC, maybe, if I have cable, but if I don't, and if I don't have an antenna, I can't even watch the news. I have to pay for that. But then there are some really cool things on Paramount. That's CBS, but you have to pay for it. So now I've got 3 or 4 different, and then they bundle them, so I get a bundle. Now I'm paying for the same thing twice, and I can't keep up with it, and I end up running out of money at the end of the week, and it doesn't always work anyway.
Well, and then on top of all that, so if you have DirecTV, you got your popcorn and your Coke sit out ready to watch the LSU game, you turn it on, and it ain't there.
LSU, see, back in the day, you could all watch the same game. I don't care about LSU, but if it was on, I would watch it.
You should.
So on Monday.
It's SEC.
Okay. Well, then on Monday, I could talk to you about that because it was the only game you were seeing, too.
Right. Speaking of that, Coach, how much money would you take to go be Nicholls State head football coach this next week when the Tigers come to town? It is not going to be pretty.
Tigers
not going to be pretty
But
at all.
everybody would be watching it back in the day. But now we have the option to watch Wyoming take on Central Idaho. And some people watch that because that's what's on. And so everybody sees all of these games. No one knows what to talk about on Monday. That's what's on my mind.
Bless you.
Yes. It's overload.
It's overload, and I don't have a large capacity anyway. Just a little bit overloads me.
And we need to sue the NFL.
Okay.
Why are they invading our Friday night?
It's only once, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because they can. Because they can. Because there'll
Doesn't
be
it
some.
have to do with? Did it have to do with the football playoff, or are they playing on Friday nights early in the year?
No, yeah, this Friday it's green. It's somebody.
just this
They're playing
one, right?
from Brazil or somewhere.
I got you.
Oh, that's what it is. They're playing from Brazil.
Is it Brazil
Gotcha.
or Argentina or
I
somewhere in
don't
South
know.
America?
Some really
I
clever.
don't know. I don't know. I didn't like it when they started doing college games on Friday. Should be for high school.
That's right.
Right.
And let's not play on Tuesday and Monday. Let's whet my appetite so that I don't eat all the time. I come to the table a few days a week. This is what's on our mind, and it's brought to you by Pour to Cool and Joe's Car Wash and Watson and Sons. They are every game this fall, every Rough Rider game, and all the games that Larry's doing. He did the walk-in game. It was a heck of a game. They put on a show and upset a good Woden team. So anyway, we appreciate their sponsorship. We'll hear from some of them. We'll come back and look at next week.
Portacool with over 30. Portacool. Peak cooling. Intelligent control.
Hey, y'all got a dirty truck.
Well, then take it to Joe's Car Spa for a spa day.
At Joe's, they make 'em shine.
And they're standing by to work with the community.
They was elected best of Shelby County this year, and it's called Joe's, but it probably ought to be called Reed since Reed Grant owns it.
So, Billy Don, when it's time for your car or truck to have a spa day, where do you take it?
I don't know where.
So many things get started at Pizzeria. You start your party off with a pizza from the pizzeria. You get your celebration started. You get your season started. For a lot of us, our passion with pizza started at the Pizzeria, a tradition since 1960s. It's the Pizzeria just off the square in Center.
All right.
Inflation.
Yeah. Welcome back, folks. So we're talking about a couple other things that we may be doing here in the near future. So just wait and see.
There's always exciting
There's
things.
always something around the bend. All right.
Joe's Car Wash and Pour to Cool and now Watson and Sons Funeral Home, and we have that. They called us and said, how do I sponsor this? Because Bobby Watson has listened to football since he was a little boy, and then last year you saw him at Brookshire Brothers and showed him.
Well, I started the process.
Okay.
So I saw him at Brookshire's, and he was like, well, Steven, what's wrong with defense? And so I had to give him the spiel, Coach. I lined it out for him about everything. And he said, well, I got to watch this. How do I do it? So I started telling him, and then his kids or his grandkids helped him get it all set up. So now he watches.
And then they started watching.
Yeah.
And now that's what they do on Fridays.
Perfect.
They find somebody's house and they watch one of the games, usually Center, and that just makes me. So thank you, Watson and Sons, for being a part
and thanks
of
to
the family.
Bobby for being he is
the patriarch,
a big fan. I mean, long time.
Yep.
Decades.
Yes. So next week we go to Spring Hill, our first away game, visit the beautiful town of Longview and beyond. It's a nice facility, and those are nice people. What do you give us a quick scouting report?
You know, they're same coaching staff as last year, the last couple of years. So I mean, we're familiar with them. I've played them the last 2 years. Coach Jocelyn has done a great job of rebuilding that program and doing things that his guys can do. They have gotten really good at running the flex bone offensively, and they kind of about halfway through the season last year, something clicked. They ended up being a playoff team in that district, and not only a playoff team, they ended up third in the district. So they didn't just sneak in. I mean, they beat teams along the way and got to third place, and then had a really good night offensively last week. Let a couple things happen late that Sabine ended up kind of sneaking up and winning the game 50-48. But they have gotten really, really good at running that offense. And it's a hard offense to defend. It's not something you see a lot of. Once again, you've got to be very sound and very disciplined the whole game. All 11 guys have got to do their job, because as soon as they don't, they're going to crease you vertical, and it's 3 yards, it's 4 yards, it's 60 yards, it's 3 yards, it's 4 yards, it's 20 yards, it's 3 yards, it's 4 yards, it's 80 yards. Like
Right.
it's just consistent. And their kids have a great mentality running it. They do a good job up front in the offensive line. The backs run hard, and so we've got to be ready to go. It's hard to prepare for. Defensively, very similar to Jacksonville defensively, scheme-wise. So a lot of the things that we were doing last week, roll over to this week, which has kind of helped us the last 2 days, getting some things fixed. So a lot of things that we did offensively will be similar. They run the same type 4-3 scheme. Play a little bit more man in the back end than Jacksonville did, which I welcome. I feel like our receivers are going to be really good against that type of coverage.
Absolutely.
But if they were to play some zone, then we're going to be fine there, because that's kind of what Jacksonville did. So it's going to be a tough test for us, just because of what they do offensively and how good they have gotten.
I guess they'll try to shorten the game.
And then it will shorten the game, yes, sir. So we're going to be limited in possessions. I mean, you're looking at 6 to 7 possessions probably.
Wow.
You might can squeeze an 8th one in, but if we do not get them off the field, then you're talking 6 or 7 possessions, and we've got to then go execute offensively.
Right.
And so special teams and offense are going to be big.
Okay.
That, and I can't wait, because Cody Atkinson is going to knock the taste out of somebody's mouth. And that's what you got to have, is you slow those guys down.
Absolutely. That's the type, and once again, that's the mentality you have to have, especially against an offense like this.
Yep.
You have to make them want to stop running what they run. We then have got to go be the enforcer.
Yep.
And the aggressor. We can't sit back and just take it. That's just not going to work. We've got to go reestablish the line of scrimmage.
But I think
do it in a bad way.
I think we're going to. That's what I've been looking forward to this defense playing that style.
Right.
Because it reminds me when the sheriff, Johnny Shaw.
Either a cheerleader, or our cheerleader sponsor, that will be the first Gaddy's Medical Supply cheerleading spotlight. Looking forward to meet her. She's new to me. I will be meeting her as I interview her. So in anticipation of that, we're going to hear from Gaddy's. And then we'll be right back to close up the show here, the Rick Meeks Show, brought to you by Sabine State Bank. We're here at Pizzeria. Gaddy's Medical Supply. It's your one-stop shop for the supplies and the equipment that you need as you go along your recovery. Their compassionate and knowledgeable staff is there to help you as you get better. Gaddy's Medical Supply. So what do you get with Sabine State Bank? Well, Steve Waters and his staff, they know you. They know you by name. And they celebrate the successes when they finance your dreams. But Sabine State Bank is also a fully modern bank with 24-hour online access to your accounts and services ranging from teller services to some of banking's more complicated things. Looking for a place to grow? It's Sabine State Bank.
Everybody, welcome back. It's our final segment of the night, where it's Wyndham Family Dental, something to smile about.
And I got lots to smile about, but it's not necessarily about Rough Rider football and the practice or the game the last 2 weeks. The last 2 days. What's to smile about at Center High School?
Just we're back going. It's with kind of how we're structured athletically, and then summer workouts. We're around our athletes all year long, but just the fact that we're back in school and all the other students are back in, and chaparrals are going, cheers going, bands going, cross country, volleyball, tennis, football. We've got so many things going on within our school and extracurricular, and just a ton of students involved in our high school doing things. And so now that we're back in school and they're all able to be back apart, and just a lot of students representing our school district, and I think that's a big deal. We have a really good school district, and so as many kids as we can have involved and out and showing and representing our school district, then we need to. There's a lot of really good things happening in Center ISD.
You said that you're around your student athletes all the time, and more than I guess any other sport, there are more practice minutes, preparation minutes compared to game minutes. You have 10 games,
right,
a couple of scrimmages, and then whatever playoffs. And basketball teams that play tournaments get 10 games in well before district. I mean,
right. So
even though you've been doing this a long time, you just haven't coached, and certainly not head coached, that many games.
Right.
Do you still is opening game still special?
Oh yes, absolutely.
I mean, just heart rate
right,
and personal excitement.
Yeah, because you're back going. I mean, it's the first one, and in a bunch of different ways. I mean, sometimes my heart rate's up because I'm still not sure what we got yet, and so it's like the anticipation. But then it's still, I mean, you play the game and coach the game, and I mean, there's nothing like playing in a game and Friday nights and Saturday nights. I mean, same thing playing in college, but I mean, it's a whole different story. But there's nothing like it, and you still get that as a coach. I think that's one of the pretty cool things about our profession as well. So,
right.
But yeah, definitely get excited.
Yeah. No, I figured, but
yeah.
Well, y'all, I hope you enjoyed the Rick Meeks Show. It's been a good hour, a very informative one. I hope you'll come back not same time, same station. It's the same station, same time, different night. Normally this will be a Monday night thing when Monday is not Labor Day. So we'll see you next Monday here. Look forward to what happens on Friday night in Spring Hill at 7 o'clock. We'll have the Wright Chrysler Dodge Jeep pregame show. We'll talk to him. We'll have a visit with, I think, your student trainer, Caleb Handy.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be in the neutral zone, brought to you by Center Motor Company. Yep. And then we'll talk to our Miss Co., our cheerleading sponsor, and we're brought to you by Gaddy's. At the Aurora Concepts postgame show, we'll talk to our our Center Motor Company player of the game, and our Dairy Queen play of the game we'll talk about. And, of course, we'll talk to Coach again. Then at halftime, that is brought to you by Farmer State Bank this year. In the Borders Poultry Supply, we'll talk to our band director for the first time. And, of course, we'll get to see the band and the chaparrals, the chaparrals particularly looked like they were in mid-season form, and the band was out there. Half their drill is already down, and it wasn't even September yet. So lots to look forward to coming up. We look forward to seeing you then. Until then, we hope that that every kick goes right between the uprights.
The proceeding was a presentation of Watlington, Shires, and Pierce Productions. We hope you have an awesome and blessed night. God bless America, God bless our troops, and God bless each and every one of you.
It's important to me because I like network TV. Right.